Purdy is Purdy average.
Why do you say that, JB? The man's in a Super Bowl right now. I'm just curious. Why do you think he still deserves to be called average today? Look at the run. Made play when he needed to. Big time scramble.
Yeah. All right. So he was 20 of 31, 260 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 pick. He had a QBR of 88, and he had a rating of 89. So, listen, he's on a roster that allows him to do a lot of things other quarterbacks couldn't do. And he is, when all things aren't perfect, he's very, very mid. I mean, we've seen the games where when certain people aren't playing in the game, he's very, very mid. Let's just be honest. No CMC, no Debo. Not even talking about O-line. Let's just talk about skill set players. He is very, very mid. He doesn't have, get on my back, I can win this without you. I could make my second and third string receivers like Jennings and these guys that are needed when Debo's out better. He can't do that. Aaron Rodgers can. Mahomes can. Aaron Rodgers can. Tom Brady did. There's different levels to this thing. It's not a knock on Brock Purdy. It's just he's not a guy to elevate average Joes when you can't have all 5-star guys on your roster. You have to have – there's a cap we know in the NFL. The roster's loaded in Frisco. We've been talking about how loaded they are all season long. But when all things aren't perfect, he really struggles. It shows. And I just think that he is still pretty average. And that's not a bad thing. Like, there's been some average quarterbacks that have won Super Bowls. Trent Dilfer. I mean, I don't know if you want to call Flacco average. Flacco has a much more – Flacco's arm is much better than average. He has a big-time cannon. But in the realm of comparisons, he's not a Brady, Mahomes. Flacco's never going to be put on a pedestal as one of the greats that won a Super Bowl, right?
Yeah, But the thing about Flacco, real quick, is although I do believe he is an average quarterback, he did not play average in that playoff run. If you guys remember, the way he was playing was Brady-esque just for that brief period time in that playoffs. I don't think Purdy is doing that. But to Purdy's credit, he's making plays when he needs to make plays, if that makes sense. Like, there were a couple of times, like, me as a Lamar fan, I'm like, y'all need a play right now. And he just didn't make those plays when you needed it right there in that moment. Purdy this weekend, to his credit, although he didn't have like an incredible overall game, although he should have thrown like 4 picks, when they needed it the most, he would either scramble for a big time first down, make a throw, you know what I'm saying? So that's why they're in the Super Bowl right now.
Yeah. I mean, the offensive sets, if you watch what Shanahan does, a lot of zip and zap motions, a lot of motion zacks, we call it across the formation, a lot of shifting. That's done because they have to hide deficiencies, and they have to allow the run game to open up by motion shifts and trades with tight ends and personnel groupings. That is a hiding of a deficiency that you have as a head coach or play caller. We see it a lot. We've already talked about what they do in Baltimore with Lamar, I believe. I've seen it in Dallas with Dak. I've seen it with Kyler Murray. I've seen it with Carson Wentz and Baker Mayfield. You as a play caller, you're like, fuck, I'm scared to call this particular stuff, these things with this particular guy. I think these are all things that hide a smaller quarterback. Let's just be honest. He's not a guy that can stand in the pocket and not get the ball batted. He gets the ball batted more than any quarterback in the league because he throws from the pocket a lot, and he's just not a guy to get the ball over. He got the ball batted 4 times against Detroit. So these type of things right here, you see how he has to drift away. Right now, just be honest, Smitty, let's go from the end zone copy here. Let's look at him and against these O-line. Trent Williams, obviously 6'9", but just look at him in the pocket, how he looks like a little baby. And these are going to happen. This happens all the time. These balls get batted all the time because he can't be in the pocket. He can't sit there. he has to be moved. He has to be shifted around. They have to motion. They have to do a lot of these things for him. And how long can you do that in the NFL and think this guy's going to be the guy? Like, listen, I think he's done great. I think he's accurate with the football over the middle and intermediate routes when he is. I think he does a good job of anticipatory throws in the windows that, you know, the second dig window versus a cover 3 look or a quarters look. He'll hit that first window off the break, outside backer. He'll do some things that you say, oh, shit, he throws great balls on time on certain. Then he'll make a throw that you're like, fuck, what are you doing? That just is either a sight issue. I can't see it because of his deficiency in height behind a NFL O-line. That's going to be every team, by the way. Smitty is this size.
Right.
Or let's figure it out. Let's move him on the sprint, him on the run. Like, this is a great ball.
Great ball, actually.
Great ball. Time. Now he's got clear sight of vision. He has clear vision here. Like, look at this.
Yeah.
You have clear vision, and like I said, he can throw it, he can spin it. He is accurate when he has that.
When things are perfect for Brock, he's top tier, I think. When things
it has to be perfect. And I don't know if games are going to be perfect. This Kansas City game is not going to be perfect. They're playing a great defense. Spagnuolo is going to fuck with him like he did Lamar. He is going to not. It's not going to be perfect. And I argue that Drew Brees didn't win one until so late because of the same things.
But it's funny you mentioned. That was my next question. I was going to ask you. Like, when you look at Purdy right now, he's still young. This is really his second year starting, so he's still pretty damn. I mean, super young. When you think about his peak, is Drew Brees probably like I mean the best, I guess, comparison? I mean, I don't think he'll be that good, but like a watered down version of Drew Brees, is that like the best comparison? Because
like Doug Flutie was very undersized, went through the USFL.
Flutie could move around so damn good. Purdy can move, but not, he wasn't. Purdy ain't that athletic.
No. Doug Flutie was athletic, but Doug Flutie had a top 3 or 4 arm in the football at the time. Doug Flutie has a fucking cannon, by the way. People don't understand because he was so little. He has a baseball whip. Like, Doug Flutie could sling the rock like no other. I've thrown with the man. I've thrown with him and Drew Brees, by the way, when one of my best friends was the receiver at the Chargers, Nate Turner, who played for me in junior college at Compton, UNLV. So I got to throw with those guys. Doug Flutie has an absolute, like, cannon. See, here's again. This is the things that he's going to struggle with. This is a smaller guy. When you get guy, boom, in his face, you can't throw this ball. This is the things he struggles with. This is a eat it play. I have to learn to eat this ball. Because Detroit let this get away, this should have been another pick. This was another ball that should have been picked that we showed yesterday from a different angle. That's the same one. He should have thrown this ball, and it should have been picked. He should have ate it. He should have threw it away or just tucked it and ate it. That's right there. You got to eat it. You see him turn his back to it right here. He turns his back to that. That is, I want to throw the ball. Get it out of my hands. I want to not get hit. That is what that is.
Yep.
I know for a fact what it is because I played this position, unlike a lot of people in the chat that want to think they know. That is a get the ball out of my hand so I don't get hit play. And that's why I turned number 13 to our film side, because that's what we're looking at, the back side of him, because he threw it.
That makes sense. Big JB, I think we got a special guest might be in the building, by the way. Just a heads up.
Oh, okay, Big Matt McChesney. Can he join in with here? Can he join in on the thing, Matt Bailey?
There you go. He's right there. What's going on, Matt?
What's good? Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning. We're talking about Brock Purdy, Matt. I'm just showing that, you know, some things have to be very, very perfect for him to have success. When things aren't perfect, he lacks in genetics with arm strength, height, being behind 6'9" tackles and stuff like that. It's going to be an issue for him. I think all things need to be perfect for Brock Purdy. And when they're not, I don't think he's a guy to elevate mid to third string wide receivers like an Aaron Rodgers, Tom Brady, guys have done in the past. When Debo, number 1, goes down, Can Jennings be the guy to catch 6-7 balls? We've seen Mahomes elevate mid receivers. We've seen Aaron Rodgers get mid receivers big bags on other teams. I just don't know if he's that guy. And that's why the thumbnail says Purdy is Purdy average. A lot of people are calling him the second heir of Joe Montana. I almost threw up in my mouth. I also almost threw up in my mouth because I'm drunk still. But I just don't see the guy elevating a team when all things aren't perfect. And I think that Spagnuolo is going to give him some looks this week where he is not going to have all things perfect. And it's going to come back to got to get a top echelon guy back there. And listen, I think he's done a great job. Here's another one, though. This is a shot in the chest. And he makes a ball on time. He throws the ball on time.
Hell of a throw.
Took a headshot. Hell
of a throw.
This is Debo. Does he throw that ball with Jennings? Like, these are things that I just think are going to happen with Spagnuolo. And like I said, look, he already knew the cover. He already knew that he had a clean pocket until the game happened. He had a clean pocket until the game happens.
He sees it though, to his credit, and he doesn't flinch. He said, "Fuck, I'm gonna stand there. I'm gonna take the hit. I'm gonna let it go." You know the thing is, JB, real quick. Shame on us, not us, meaning me, you, and Matt, but just the media space in general. On why are we even putting Brock in the conversation of a Peyton Manning, a Tom Brady, a Joe Montana,
that's a media
Patrick Mahomes? Because Purdy's never said that. Purdy's never went out there and tried to claim he was even at that level at all. Purdy is really good for this team. They're in the damn Super Bowl. It's not like they're in the Super Bowl only because they carried them. They're in the Super Bowl because, yes, they have a lot of fucking talent around them, but at the same time, I watched the game this weekend. Purdy made some plays. That's not gonna get it twisted. It ain't like Purdy just sitting back there twirling, playing with his fingers. He's out there making plays. He scrambled when he needs to. He made some big time throws as we're showing. So I think it's really shame on us for even comparing him to these big time names. We understand the Niners team goes as their rest of their talent goes. They go as their running game goes. It goes as their defense goes. But Brock Purdy, in order for him to win the Super Bowl, he's going to have to make some big-time plays like he did in the NFC Championship game. And I just think, it's okay to be a game manager. Going back to the whole with what you said, JB, what Cam Newton said, game manager, it comes off in a negative tone, but it's not bad. He's a great game manager for the 49ers. And that's what you want to do. Because if when you manage games, if that leads to wins, well, hell, keep on managing, brother. That's what we want, to win, and that's what he's done.
Before Matt jumps in here, I think what we do, though, we put it on a pedestal, and we put him on a pedestal because he's on a roster that we've all been on this show for 6 months talking how great the roster is. It's the #1 roster in football, and they're loaded from top to bottom, and O-line, D-line, linebackers, blah, blah, blah. We've been hyping this team up, right?
Yeah.
If you don't win a Super Bowl, though, at the end of the day, it's an epic fail, as the young generation say. And when you want to be put on this pedestal as a great organization, great team, like the Patriots, and the Chiefs are right now in a dynasty run, and this is the second time these two are meeting up in a Super Bowl, you have to win some of these big-time games, and I just think they lack at that position. And I think, again, you have to have the big-time guy on a roster like this so you can be in the conversation as a dynasty run team or an organization again, like they did in the 80s. This is a team that should be winning a lot of Super Bowls. And let's be honest, I think one guy's holding him back, and that's what it is. It's no knock on him. I don't think he's shitty. I just don't think he's a guy that can get you over the hump like they can go get. And that's all I'm saying. I just think you have to win some of these Super Bowls eventually, and I still don't know if they can beat the Chiefs this year.
So you guys know how I feel about Brock Purdy. I've been saying this since day one. Bailey's made clips on it. There's nothing wrong with being a game manager. Terry Bradshaw game managed himself to 4 Super Bowls. Troy Aikman game managed himself to 3. If there was more game manager and Jim Kelly, he might have a Super Bowl. Phil Simms game managed himself to Super Bowls. It's John Elway at the end of his career with a better team and good defense and a dominant running game managed himself to Super Bowls. So, you know, the negative connotation with this is ridiculous, but the media is lazy too. I mean, let's be real. You ask why? Because the media is fucking lazy, because they need to, everybody's got to be compared to like the greatest of all time, where honestly, this kid is just in the beginning stages of his career. He hasn't even made a second contract yet. And he's writing his script as we go. And, you know, the media immediately wants to just be like, oh, well, how is he compared to Joe Montana and Steve Young? And it's like, Jesus Christ. I mean,
yeah, no shit.
That's where we're going immediately with this. Like the kid, this is his first Super Bowl appearance. Essentially the same team minus Christian McCaffrey went to the Super Bowl with Garoppolo and was up with 6 minutes to go and lost. So, you know, it's, if Purdy can go beat Mahomes and the Chiefs, which, I mean, I doubt. I'm not going to pick. I ain't picking Brock Purdy and the Niners over Mahomes. No fucking way. Like you want me to make that pick, you're going to have to show me. So, you know, do I think the Niners have a better team? Yeah, probably. They probably got a better team around Purdy than Mahomes has around him. But Mahomes he's just different. And Brock Purdy's not yet. He's not different yet. So he's made big plays the last 2 weeks. He's the reason that they are advancing. They were dead in the water last week, big time, being down 17, and he brought him back. So he gets his flowers there. But, you know, it's almost like doing the kid a disservice trying to compare him right now to a guy with 4 Super Bowls that never lost one. And then Steve Young, who, you know, was the most accurate passer from a ratings perspective in the history of football for, I don't know, 25 years he held that record. So, you know, and that was in the era of ripping people's heads off in the secondary, and like, you know, the rules weren't catered to the skill players being able to just catch it and run. So, you know, I think that the entire like narrative comparing Brock Purdy to Montana and Young is so lazy.
I also think it's irresponsible, like, to be honest, this is what we have. We have irresponsible reporting out here. But I also think there's a huge limelight from the average casual fan that sees Brock Purdy and has success on their DraftKings or Bet Online stat line, and they think that he's the greatest quarterback since Montana to wear this uniform. He's not better than Jeff Garcia. I'll just be honest. He's not better than a lot of Niner quarterbacks that have came after Montana. But I'm going to be honest.
Is he better than Kaepernick? I mean, take away all the bullshit that Kaepernick had. Just look at the player.
He's not as skilled as Cap. He's not as talented, but he's probably a better quarterback.
Hell of a player.
Yeah. Here's the thing I have to say, though. I think people get blinded by the now, of course. We always talk about the now, what's going on in the now and all this other shit. I also think, Matt, that quarterback play is very, very, very mid, to say the least, across the league. And when we see a guy that can complete a fucking slant, we get hard-ons. And it's like, oh, fuck, Purdy's the guy. He threw a fucking slant ball that most quarterbacks in high school should be able to put on the numbers. And we're anointing guys, I believe, before we really get to see their full body of work because of the mid nature, the bad play at the position as a whole, and the lack thereof of superstars in the game right now, like Aaron Rodgers, Joe Burrow, who had catastrophic injuries that nobody could predict, and the lack of the Tom Brady's and Peyton Mannings who aren't in the league anymore. I believe it's changing the casual lens, the optic on these casual fans who just bet fantasy and really don't know shit and come out and think that I'm a 49er fan. Brock Purdy's the best thing I've ever seen. And they're 18, 25-year-olds who've never saw Steve Young or Montana play. So, again, that is what it is. And I don't think I think, to be fair, that's where we are. And then if you go against any fan base on this show, they're obviously going to say you don't know what the fuck you're talking about, even though they can never provide a resume. So that is where I'm at with it. And I think that is just a very eloquent, educated, nice, calm, because I'm very drunk still, take. So
I love it.
What do you think about that take, Matt?
Oh, you're not wrong. This is the anointing generation. You know, it's the generation of, you know, that he's the best player ever. And you bring up another guy that played the position in the 90s or in the 80s or 90s, and they're like, who? So, you know, it's just, I had two coaches in here this morning, Frank Malley from Washington State and Garland Justice from SMU.
Frank Melee?
Yeah, that's my guy, Frank. And
that's my boy. You should have told him. I wish I would have known. You should have put him on FaceTime. That should have been epic.
Well, I just posted a picture on Twitter. He's awesome. But so we're in the lobby afterwards, you know, talking to the kids as they're coming out, shaking hands, kissing babies. You know, one of the big tackles got offered, so that's always cool when he gets offered in front of all the kids and all the work pays off. That's always like, that's why we do it, right? That's why we do all this shit. That's why we're up at 5 a.m. And we're talking, like, pointing at some of the jerseys on the wall. And I have one of the kids is like, well, who's 58, the red jersey? And I'm like, well, that's a Kansas City 58. Who do you think that is? And they're like, well, I don't know. I'm a huge Chiefs fan. I love the Chiefs. They're my favorite team. And I was like, and you don't know who 58 is in red.
You don't know who Derek Thomas is, though.
Exactly. And like Frank's like looking at the kid like, you play defensive end and you're a huge Chiefs fan and you don't know who the fuck Derek Thomas is?
We just talked about this to start the show, Matt. We just talked about this shit.
The problem with the generation is they think they're the first ones to play football.